You need background music, Sam. Oh, it's birds. I see. Thanks, Letitia.
There's a restaurant near me in San Francisco called Birdsong. It's really creepy when you go into the bathroom. There are just birds chirping. But you go from like a bustling downtown kind of gritty area of San Francisco to the chirping birds.
That's awesome.
That's really peaceful. Of all the places to pee, that sounds great.
How lovely. Pleasure to see you all. Welcome back. If this is your second quest of the year, or welcome if it is your first. Feel free to be unmuted if you're not in a loud place. If you are, probably best to keep yourself muted. But if you're not, it's just it's nice to feel like we're hanging out. We've got a few more people, I believe, on their way. But yeah, super excited. Welcome to Creative Quest. This is our second quest of this full year of explorations. And God, it's a wild shift from our first theme this year. We're exploring collage in January, which some of you here were exploring with us. And, you know, this month we've got something really very completely different. Creative Quest is really all about exploring different sides of your creative spirit. So although, you know, this theme isn't immediately about kind of making things, it certainly doesn't mean that we're not going to be making things just because the theme is perhaps more obviously connected to kind of exploring nature. But, you know, I hope throughout this month that all of us, you know, feel a deeper connection with nature, and we feel the ripple effects of that, you know, in our well-being and certainly in our creativity. My name is Sam. For those of you that don't know, I am founder of Channel 12, and we are the company that runs Creative Quests. We've also got Tiz here, who I'm going to let introduce herself. Tiz helps out on all the production and running of Creative Quest. So please feel free to introduce yourself, Tiz.
Of course, I am an artist from Mexico City. I currently live in London. I do all sorts of things, installations, paintings, video games, digital art, whatever it might come to my mind. And I'm here to help you guys. If you have any questions about developing any projects or about the Creative Quests, I'll always be around.
Thank you, Tiz. And may I just say, what an excellent filter and background that you have on brand, both with Creative Quests and the theme. 10 out of 10. Yeah, okay, we've got some more people in the waiting room. That's great. I realized that we didn't give you a huge amount of time for those that didn't, for those that haven't joined the Slack or the Notion before. Can I just get a quick hands up if you haven't been able to join Slack or Notion yet? Couple there. Okay, cool. Tiz is going to drop some links in the chat. If you could just spend the next couple of minutes just getting onto those channels, it will be great. We're not going to need Slack so much during this session, but we will need to use Notion at one point in this session. It will be really, really, really helpful if you're in there so you can participate fully. Yeah, sorry you got that a bit late. There's some technical difficulties. Gotta love the tech. So the way this session is going to work, this first session is really all about just kind of laying the foundations, cultivating the soil, if you will. And in sessions after this, we're going to kind of be exploring the theme of rewilding from all sorts of different angles. So we're going to do a kind of bit of meeting each other in a minute, going around the room and doing some introductions. And then we're going to start straight away digging into the idea of rewilding, what each of us knows of rewilding already, or how we understand that. Each of us is going to be coming with such a different idea of what the theme we're exploring this month is all about. And you know, so much of this process is about starting with one understanding of what we believe this thing to be, and by the end of the month, anyone that has done these quests before will tell you the way that you see this theme in 4 weeks' time will be radically different to how you see it now and your relationship to it. So yeah, we'll do some unpacking of that and our current perceptions. Then we'll do some discussions, and then we're going to jump into Notion, and we're going to show you some of the tools in there, and then think about the week ahead and how you can all embrace rewilding between session 1 and 2. I think that's everything that I need to say in terms of housekeeping. Yes. Okie dokie. Yeah, you got those links in there from Tiz. Thank you very much, Tiz. If anyone's having any issues of logging into those, please just DM Tiz and she'll be able to help you out. So yeah, it's super important that we all get to know each other in these sessions. We really are a kind of an ecosystem of people. This is everybody in this group is going to bring a different perspective to this. So there will be lots of breakout rooms over the next 4 weeks. There will be lots of discussion. I know it's not easy because sometimes breakout rooms feel a bit difficult, but I would really, really encourage you to kind of reframe the way that you see speaking on camera or sharing your ideas or being in breakout rooms. I would really encourage you to see it differently in creative quests. This isn't just a sort of a one-time thing, hopefully, that you're going to rock up to. These are people that you're going to get to know. And the more that you can share, the more that you can get your ideas out there, no matter how weird or how random they might seem, they're going to add value to the greater experience. Okay, so I would love to meet and re-meet some of you. So we're going to go around the room. Everybody's going to have 1 minute, and we're going to have to be pretty strict on that minute. So if I tell you your minute is up, it's not because I don't want to hear from you. It's because we've got things to do. We've got business to attend to. And I would like to know your name, where you are, and I would also like to know of a nature memory that is prominent in your mind. Okay, so maybe just have I'll give people just a little moment to think about that, because it's not always fair on the first person to just, drop them in there. By the way, that's going to be you, Moira. You're first on my screen. So nature memories. I'll give you a little second to think about it. Something powerful, something that stands out to you. It could be it could be something that happened today. It could be something that happened when you were a child. It could be something that happened in a different country. Could be anywhere, really. So have a little think about that. Okay. Okay, Moira, over to you. You got a minute.
Okay, hello, I'm Moira Scott. I live in Brighton in the UK. I'm an artist and coach and facilitator. Nature memory. So I'm going to basically, it's kind of anytime a lightning storm happens, I just love it, but I've loved it ever since I was a kid. And so my memory is standing on the front door step of my parents' house back in, I don't know, a long time ago, being about sort of 6 or maybe 8, actually been about 8 or 9, because otherwise been a different house, and just watching the storm and being really thrilled by it. So that is my nature memory.
Nice. Lightning storms. Yeah, I can think of some pretty epic lightning storms being, especially in other countries. It always feels like lightning storms feel 10 times more dramatic when you're not somewhere familiar. Thank you, Moira. Marion.
Hi all. My name's Marion. I am based out of New York, just north of the city in Westchester. And I actually moved here because there was more nature, more trees. I am currently I'm very, very lucky. I'm on a paid sabbatical, and I'm actually using this time to focus on projects in climate and creativity. So quests have been a huge piece of that. But my memory that comes to mind, and you'll all get to meet my mom in a second because I love Quest so much. I brought my mom into the mix. But growing up, we did a lot of hiking, and that's something that's kind of resonated with me, including really big hikes and through hikes. And one of the things that I think I kind of came away from that with was like feeling like there's an element of confidence that comes from that, in just like the physical strength, but also like trusting yourself and that you don't need a lot of things. But I now hike once a week, and moved to Westchester because there are lots of hikes nearby.
Nice.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Marion. Who's next? Let's go to Anne. We'll go to Anne Daniels. You're actually next on my screen, but that works well. Over to you.
Okay, so I'm Anne Daniels. I'm Marion's mom, happily. I'm in San Diego, California, in the US. I do business writing. I'm a English and literature tutor now, and a dabbler in a whole bunch of different things. Jack of all trades, truly a master of none. My nature memory, it's funny, Marion mentioned through hikes. We did a rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, and I thought of that beautiful, beautiful rattlesnake. We were down at the bottom in Cottonwood, and rattlesnakes probably scare a lot of people here, but they're ubiquitous to California. And in the Grand Canyon, they have this beautiful rose color to match the sand around them. They're pink and white. They're absolutely gorgeous. And we came down to it, and we were setting up camp, and somebody mentioned it to us, and this thing crawled up in the trees and kept us company all night, which is a little bit unnerving because it was about 5 feet long. But and that wasn't a childhood memory. I thought of some others, but Marion can relate to that one. It was one of the ones that was sort of unusual and very memorable. But it's nice to meet you all.
That sounds stunning. And we're a master of none community. Truly, this is about exploring. Creative Quest is about embracing not being a master. It's like it's about embracing being a beginner. For anyone that has had a chance to log into the Notion and has watched the introductory video, you know, we talk a lot about beginner's mind and this idea of approaching everything with a beginner's attitude. Because if you go into any situation with the mind, the spirit, attitude of an expert, your capacity for learning is absolutely nothing. So, you know, we totally welcome the sort of the jack of all trades. I think it's way more fun to just be pulling loads of different influences and ideas from all sorts of places, rather than just bottling yourself up into a little squidged master box. It's boring. Okay, cool. Next up, Eva.
Yeah, I'm Eva. Oh, can you guys hear me? Based in London. Yeah, I'm an artist and also work at university. And I guess my nature memory, recent one, I went like cliff jumping in Cornwall, and that was really amazing. I couldn't believe how high they made us jump from. And I used to be quite timid in the sea. I was scared of sea creatures, even though I live in the UK. But yeah, going out there in like quite a big group, it was really good fun. And yeah, actually I went away from it thinking, oh, I want to do some more like action sports. But yeah, it was really, really nice and freeing experience. So yeah, that would be my nature memory, I guess.
Beautiful. Thanks, Eva. Letitia.
Hello, I'm Letitia. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I am a service designer in innovation at a nonprofit. And I have kind of memories growing up in Utah, which is gorgeous, and just the mountains surrounding that area. And I think I have felt more disconnected from nature while living in New York, but did get away to the Catskills this past summer, and it was just fun to see, like a deer out of my window and be able to hike, which was much more challenging versus when I was younger, I have to say. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Letitia. Yeah, I'm interested here. Who lives like proper city here? Lots of people. Interesting. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be part of the kind of the challenge here is, is nature connection in urban areas. And I think that makes it an interesting hurdle rather than a sort of a difficult hurdle, because it's I guess it's a thing that lots of people face, how to feel intimately connected to nature in urban environments. I guess lots of like nature spaces in urban environments are more kind of, well, they're obviously man-made for a start, and they're not necessarily particularly wild. So I'd be interested to kind of see how any of us kind of city dwellers navigate that, I suppose, and ways to rewilding could be internal. Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to see how we work that one out. Christy.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christy. I'm from the States. I'm in Chicago, Illinois. This is my second quest. I'm really excited to be back. And my nature memory is a couple of years ago, I went hiking in the Grand Canyon, and we got up really early one morning to watch the sunrise. It was very chilly out, and I just remember watching the sunrise and it just being so beautiful, how it just illuminated the area and just the vastness and stillness, and then just seeing kind of the ravens and the hawks flying overhead.
Beautiful. I've not been to the Grand Canyon, but hope to one day. Let's go with Nora.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Nora. I'm normally based in London, but I'm currently in Italy just to visit some friends and family. And can you guys hear me? Like, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, cool.
We got you.
So I've got a lot of nature memories in London. Like, I just love going to different parks and just like explore. My favorite one being Regent's Park. It's very accessible. I just love it. I love going there as much as I can, just to contemplate, observe, find a time to like breathe and maybe like find some inspiration. I'll get my notebook with me and I'll just like write things down and, just kind of like find the break between the urban environment and just, find like a balance between nature and city life, because it gets very hectic, especially in London. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Nora. Next up, Leah.
Hi everyone, I'm Leah. Ooh, can you hear me? Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Leah. I am in the Bay Area, so Oakland, California, just north of San Francisco, where I feel like I'm in an urban environment, yet like there's a redwood tree right on the property and hikes nearby. So it's really that sweet spot for me of having one foot in the city and one foot in nature. I work in the food world, so there is a lot of overlap with agriculture and lots of proteins as well. And the most obvious nature memory for me was I spent 7 months of the pandemic on a biodynamic farm, and I thought I'd be there for 2 to 3 weeks. Ended up there for 7 months, and I was just completely immersed in nature in every single way, and it was life-changing. So yeah.
Amazing. When Leah, that you were there when you first started last year, right?
Yeah, and then I think it was during movement, and I moved out of the farm and back to the Bay.
We did a poetry themed quest last January in that first month of our being in our pilot, and Leah would check in every week with this. It looked like a fake backdrop. It was stunning. And Leah, you were one of the first when we were getting this themes together. You're one of the first people I thought of, so I'm really, really glad that you're here, because I know you're going to add lots of depth to this. I can tell. Awesome. Raquel.
Hi. Let's see. My name is Raquel. I am living in Germany at this moment. I'm from the US, but I grew up in Puerto Rico. And so I grew up in nature. We were like in the ocean and the beach. We were there every day. I didn't wear shoes for most of my childhood life. So I have lots of memories around that. And I guess I should. I'm a coach, facilitator, trainer around communications, by the way. But anyway, the memory, but I want to share a memory, another memory, a totally different memory. I love to listen to nature. And about 6 years ago, 2 of my friends and I were in Switzerland, and we wanted to work on a business strategy, a business plan. And so instead of doing the normal business planning, we decided to take a hike through the woods. It was winter and snowy and cold. And we decided to go listen to nature and see what it would tell us, starting from phases of a business strategy, from the end to the beginning during different phases. And I remember walking up to the woods, and right at that moment, the wind blew the leaves into the woods, like as if it was an invitation for us to come in and listen to the nature. So that was awesome. And it turned out really good. So that's a memory that I have.
Wow. That's incredible. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Raquel. I feel like I need to go and do some Channel 12 business strategizing and listen to the woods. Thank you. Lisa.
Here we go. Hey everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm a journalist. I live in St. Leonards-on-Sea, which is a little coastal town in the UK. Yeah, like I said, I'm a journalist. I'm really excited about this because I've actually done a few rewilding stories, and over the past year, I try to focus a bit more on climate and environment stories. This is super exciting. And then, yeah, the memory that I had was I'm South African. So I also just grew up in a lot of incredible nature, which you don't realize when you grow up in it, I guess. Obviously, it's only when you move. But the memory that came to mind was this place that my family used to go in the bush, and it was nighttime, and we were sort of by a lake or a dam, and it was the frogs were all in, must have been like mating season, and just like the pure volume of the noise of these frogs all croaking at the same time, and it was just beautiful and almost quite overwhelming. It was just so loud in the pitch black, and the stars were shining and everything. So that was my first nature memory that came to mind.
Gorgeous. That's amazing. Thanks very much, Lisa. We'll go with Todd.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Good to see folks again and the new faces. I'm Todd. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And my nature memory is probably the last place that I lived, which is kind of in the middle of a big city. And my apartment looked over an arroyo, which was really cool. So it was like very green space. And there would be coyotes that would come down every once in a while. And then I think I saw like a fox down there one time. So that was kind of an interesting experience in the middle of the city.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, we have a lot of foxes here in London, causing all sorts of chaos with the bins outside our houses. Yeah, they never. I have to say, the poor foxes in London, they don't look great. They're not in a good way. Not bushy-tailed. Awesome, thank you, Todd. Daniela.
Hey, I'm Daniela from London. This is my first session. I don't work in anything creative, I just work in finance, but I think one of the main reasons why I've signed up for this session is just I'm trying to find or reconnect with the inner creative and just get little or different ideas of where I might have an interest. But since growing up, I've always loved like the arts, I've loved music, I've loved all sides, but then I just got disconnected. Earliest nature memory I could think of when I was younger, I used to just love like lying on the grass in like my garden and just looking at if it was like sunny day, just looking at the clouds and just all of the different like shapes and things, like different formations, or even when it's like nighttime, just looking at the stars and just, I don't know, just letting your imagination go. I used to find that really like calming and interesting.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think that like really speaks to the kind of like how much wonder can be sort of induced by nature, just, you know, just by sitting there and observing it. And you know, on your point about reconnecting, you know, with your creativity, like you are in the right place. This is you know, honestly, there's such a wide range of people in this community, from people that consider themselves artists right through to people that have, you know, never really done anything that they would consider, you know, kind of quote unquote creative before. But, you know, through this process, it just becomes evidently clear that everybody has something creative to offer. And, you know, I've got no doubt that you'll find different shades to your creativity over this next month or two. Charlie.
Hello. I was going to say nice to see you all, but it's become presenter view, so I can only see myself. So I'm Charlie. I'm a content writer in international education at the moment, but planning to become a UX writer in some kind of tech that I believe in. So we'll see how that goes. I currently live in Lisbon in Portugal. So it's super sunny winter here that I'm really enjoying. But I grew up in Scotland, as you might be able to slightly tell from the accent, and near some rather lovely hills. I'd say I have lots of nature memories, but the one that I'd like to share with you is from the start of lockdown. I moved to a canal boat in the middle of Oxford in England, quite unexpectedly, again, thinking it was only going to be for a couple of weeks. And it was kind of house sitting the boat, so I got to stay for free. It was very stark, but outside all of the windows, it was just water and trees and animals. And one night, one of my boat neighbors and I cycled down the river to this meadow, and the moon was absolutely massive, and we just threw off all our clothes and we jumped in the river, and you could just see the silver light rippling across the dark water, and it was absolutely stunning, and I just felt very alive.
Wow, amazing memory. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Nikki.
Okay, so I am indeed Nikki. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, because I've got some interface saying activate the sound. Okay, maybe it's like something you're sending people to encourage us. I don't know. Anyway, so I do indeed live in a very proper city, which is Paris, France, although I am American, or because I am American. And I just was going to share this memory, which is that about 100 years ago, I had the really good idea to go camping around in an old VW van, the Pacific Northwest in the winter. And the old VW vans have no heat. And the memory is being up in the hills in, I don't know how much snow, and going out of the van in the middle of the night, dead, 2, 3 at night, 2, 3 in the morning, I guess. And just being able to just urinate in the snow, just like that. And it felt fabulous. It was an amazing, amazing feeling. And the thing is, okay, it's a little Zappa as a memory. So instead of sharing that, I will, sorry about that, just say another thing, which is in my very proper city, Paris, there are lots of little places where the railroad and the metros are have abandoned stations or tracks or areas, and they have taken to letting them grow wild, and they're sort of now they're like making a big deal out of how cool they are to let them grow wild and people can come, blah, blah, blah. So I lived for a while across from one of these abandoned stations that they had let just grow on its own. And in a very, very like proper neighborhood. And it turned out, because people would walk their dogs there and stuff, so you could tell, it turned out that there was rocket or arugula growing wild there. And so we used to go pick the arugula for our salad every day. And I just thought that was so excellent that in the middle of Paris, we could just really just go across the street, pick up, it wasn't a street, pick up our arugula or rocket, whatever you want to call it, and eat. It was a pleasure. So there you have it.
I love that. Incredible. Is there snow where anybody is in the world right now? Yeah, Marion? Right.
I mean, remnants.
You know what to do.
I'll let my dog do that. Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, there's a Nikki, there's a place near me, a disused railway, where they've done exactly that. And it's amazing, you know, how quickly these places do rewild themselves when you just let it grow, you know. And it's I think that's such an interesting question when you think about, well, rewilding in general, but also when it comes to, I guess, creativity, is like, what happens if you just let it grow? What happens if you just leave it, you stop interfering and just let it do its thing? Like, what happens there? I think that's like an interesting question for all of us to think about this month. Who's next? Vera. Oh, still got Nikki. There you go.
Sorry about that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vera. I'm based in Berlin, and I work as coach and facilitator, doing a lot of listening. And I think my go-to nature is always water-based, like a lake or the sea or something, you know, something flowing. But I would like to share a proud memory, because I remember 5 years ago when I planted my first tree, and I planted about like 20 trees at once. I mean, they were like 1 year old, so they were really small. But I feel I don't know, I think it's like a bucket list item to plant your own tree and then kind of visit it over the years and see how it grows and if it grows. And so, yeah, I think that's just something exciting. And that's something that I do here in Berlin. So I'm part of an organization planting trees in Berlin. So it's a real thing.
Incredible. Amazing. That made me actually, that just prompted me to think, there's Moira, am I right in thinking that you are also doing something like that?
I am an ambassador for an organisation called Forest Without Frontiers, who plant a lot of trees. I haven't planted my own tree yet. I've just raised money for them to plant trees, but soon come.
Okay.
Looking forward to doing that.
Absolutely.
But yes, cheering Vera there.
Yeah, 100%. Next up is Hannah.
Hello, everyone. I am Hannah, living smack dab in the middle of New York City, so not a ton of nature right now. The memory that comes to mind for me, I think it's because it's my dad's birthday today. We're on a family trip to Iceland like 5-6 years ago, and in my family we had this contest of like who's been closest to the Arctic Circle. It's like I had been to the Scottish Highlands, so I like had beat my dad and brother who in Alaska by like a few latitude, I don't know. They were just really into the geography of it. So when we were in Iceland, we realized we could get to the Arctic Circle. So we got these tickets. It was like a freight ship, and so it was like all cargo, and then there was a little room for people to come, and my dad accidentally got us one-way tickets, so that was a near disaster when we were almost stuck in the Arctic Circle. But we get there, and it's this little island where like 40 people live year round, and you could walk this trail all around the perimeter to get to like the point where you were in the Arctic Circle, and it was super foggy. You couldn't like see far into the distance, but then you'd walk and there'd be some sheep and there'd be puffins, and there were like wild horses, and it was just like never been anywhere like it, and it was just like this magical experience.
Oh, that sounded like a painting. Sounded incredible. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, not Lisa. Hannah, sorry. Raina.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Awesome. I'll just preface this with my internet connection seems a little unstable, so I might disappear from video occasionally, but I'm still here. So I'm Raina, and I'm tuning in from Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. And I guess as you were all talking, I realized, oh, I actually do have a lot of nature memories, which is nice. It doesn't feel that way lately, but I think one of the strongest ones that really impacted me was when I was working as a sailboat delivery crew member. And so we would spend sometimes 3 to 4 weeks out on open water. And I just remember the first time I saw a sunrise and a sunset without anything else around, just the horizon, and it just like blows up the sky, the sunrise. It's truly amazing. And then at night, when I was actually able to see all the stars in the sky without any kind of light pollution whatsoever, was just really inspiring. And I think because we were out on the water for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, everything just came kind of to a slower pace, like a more natural pace, where it just felt really connected to nature.
Beautiful. Thank you, Raina. Roz.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to all the new questions as well. Excited for you. I'm Roz. I'm calling from Brighton, where Maura lives in the UK. But from my accent, I grew up in New Zealand, so I was completely surrounded by nature. And there's two moments that come to mind as very strong nature memories for me, which were actually not there. One of them was, it was in a year I was going through a really big grief. And I remember just my nervous system being knocked a lot of the time and it being very hard to be in myself. And one of the moments nature was incredible for me was when I walked into the ocean. We obviously have ocean everywhere. And I remember just walking out until it came up to my neck. And I remember just feeling so absorbed and safe and held in the sea. And I was able to like relax in this way that felt really powerful. And then on the opposite end, I also went to Burning Man and I remember cycling to the end of the desert where they have a fence. And again, I was out there mostly on my own, watching these figures of these people that had jumped the fence and ran way out into the desert, and they were dancing like silhouettes while I had this big van behind me playing music. But I remember in that moment again having that experience of just the vastity of nature, actually feeling really homely and feeling very small in this big landscape. Just felt incredibly peaceful and comforting. So those are my strong memories.
Amazing. Stunning. Thank you, Roz. And Anna Maria.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ana Maria. I live in Marbella in the south of Spain. I'm really lucky to have the beach 2 minutes away and the mountain 10 minutes away. I always dreamed to live either by the sea or in the mountains. So here I am. I grew up in rural Romania with my grandparents, actually, during communism. And I had so many memories. The first one I thought was when everybody was having a nap during summertime. I would, because I never nap. I wouldn't. And I would go to this patch of grass in the garden, and I would just like have a book with me and just look at the grass, looking at the bugs, hearing the birds. There were the pigeons doing their sound, so a lot about the sound. But also realize, like as all of you were talking, a lot of the memories that I'm hearing is like you solitary with nature, and that's what comes to me as well. A lot of being alone, like when wanting to be alone just with nature, like going really far in the sea so I don't see anybody else and I only see the horizon. Or going, when I was little, I would go to, we had a toilet in the back garden, right? So when it was raining, I would just go there. So I listened to the rain and I was alone. So that's what's coming to me, being alone, but feeling more connected than ever.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I think Christy is the last person before me and Tiz. Is that right? Yeah.
I went earlier.
Oh, went, sorry.
That's okay.
Write down. Tiz.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of my most memorable experiences in nature, I think, was when I swim with whale sharks. That was in Mexico, where I'm from, in an area at the south of Mexico, Quintana Roo is called. And I remember being on a boat. I woke up very early in the morning, so it was like 2 hours away from the shore in boat. It was open sea, essentially. You could see the water and it looked black almost. And then at some point, the driver of the boat, the captain, told me, jump now, it's underneath. And I jumped and I see this huge animal under the sea. It was incredible. I actually have a video. I can maybe share it later.
Amazing. That's actually top of my bucket list, is whale sharks, like literally number one, has been for a very, very long time. Okay, so that is just me. My name is Sam. Hi there. I'm in London, UK. And my nature memory was actually a very recent one. I was lucky to go to Barbados on holiday before Christmas, which was absolutely stunning. And we did like a sort of a boat trip, and it was like a kind of a snorkeling thing. And we were told, you know, there's wild turtles here, and, you know, maybe you'll get to see a turtle. And so I was hoping that I would get to see a turtle, and we did get to see some turtles. I was very excited about that. But obviously, you know, you don't want to kind of disrupt them and disturb them, so you kind of keep your distance. They called everyone back into the boat, and I kind of just like, I thought, maybe, you know, I'll just hang back a little bit. I'll just make my way slowly to the boat, because perhaps all the people here is making them a bit spooked. And sure enough, everyone got back in the boat, and literally I was about 2 feet from getting back up, and this turtle just like swam literally right up to my face. And it was just like the most just like incredible, like, I can't believe this is a reality moment. Yeah, it was absolutely breathtaking. Incredible. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing those nature memories with us. Obviously, nature kind of holds this very, very special place in each of us. And yeah, there's some absolutely stunning stuff that's come up there. So we're going to jump into the next half of this session now, which is much more about kind of peeling back these layers of what rewilding exactly means to us. You know, maybe because I guess, you know, on paper, rewilding as a definition is an approach to restoring areas of land or sea to their natural uncultivated state and letting ecosystems heal without human interference, and, you know, letting biodiversity thrive. You know, what happens when we just let it grow? And, you know, each of us, especially over the last 2 years, it's become such a big dialogue everywhere about the benefits of nature. You know, blue and green spaces were an absolute lifeline to all of us over the last couple of years, where that was our chance to just kind of go outside. And obviously some people have much more access to natures than others, but I think lots of people felt this call to sort of just be in nature more because of its kind of healing properties. But I guess, you know, over this month we're going to be investigating this idea of what we can do to rewild ourselves too. You know, I'm not expecting that we're all gonna plant a forest over the next month, although maybe we might. You know, but there's kind of it's this idea of what happens when we rewild ourselves, our creativity, our attention, our imaginations, what new things can bloom from there. So the very first exercise that we do in any creative quest is called throwing paint at the wall, and it's a very it's a fancy way of saying word association, basically. So I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock, and over the course of that 5 minutes, I would like you to just absolutely empty your mind of everything that comes up when you think of rewilding. So either put rewilding in the middle of your page or on the top as a list, however you like to work. Do this analog, so like pen and paper or pencil and paper rather than on your computer for now. And just kind of do full word association, everything that comes up when you think of the word rewilding, is even if it's like a super weird thing. I've got some prompts here for you. Share screen. Okay, so you can think about places that come up when you think of rewilding. Maybe you know about some interesting rewilding projects. Maybe you know some people that maybe you actually know them, personally, or they could be well-known people that come to mind with rewilding. What kind of sounds come to mind? What communities do you know? What kind of ideas or concepts come up? Expressions? These are all prompts for you to use as a way to unpack this word. And at this point, nothing is too weird. If something's coming up and you're thinking, why is that coming to mind? Just get it down on a piece of paper. It will make room for the next thing. Okay, so I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to put some music on, and you are just going to go for it with this. Empty your minds, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms and discuss. Okay, 5 minutes in 3, 2, 1. Okay, you got about 30 seconds left. Remember, nothing is too strange. It's the diversity of thought here that is going to make this really, really powerful when we share it with each other. Okay. All right, nice one. Oh, I'm not on camera. Awesome. So hopefully that has what I often find with that is that you go through the first kind of initial rush, and then you kind of hit a bit of a block, and then you find a thing that will suddenly just make all of these sort of words and sort of references tumble out of your brain. So hopefully you've got a kind of a 5-minute little screenshot of what is going on in your brain when you think of rewilding. And it's really, really important that we each do this, because each of our lists are going to be wildly different from each other, and they are a total reflection of the way that we see this thing. Over the course of our lives, we've each painted a different picture as to what rewilding can mean to us. I mean, it's not even really a word that was in vernacular like 10 years ago even. It's still a sort of a pretty new concept. It's not like we'd kind of be growing up with these kind of terms, or we had, but it's not kind of not necessarily like super prevalent until more recently. So we're going to go into breakout rooms now, and what I'd like you to do in these breakout rooms with each other is read each other your lists. Okay. So take it in turns. You're going to have 10 minutes, so we're not going to have a huge amount of time. Take it in turns to read each other your lists. Each of your lists are going to be different, and when you're really listen to somebody else's list and notice the differences with your own. And if they've written something down that you don't have on your list, but you think, oh, that's interesting, add it to your list. You're literally expanding your perception by listening to somebody else share their experience of this thing, and just chat about the differences. Okay, so you got 10 minutes in these rooms to read each other the lists and add to your list with the words that come up from them. Then we're going to come back, do a bit of sharing, and then think about the week ahead. All make sense? Great. Okay, those should be open now.
I got bounced back.
Okay.
Misbehaved.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I brought you back to the main room because you left and
right. But then I went back, then I got sent to room 6 and I got bounced back.
Yeah, because you're in room 7, but you know what? I'm just gonna send you to room 6.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.
See you soon.
Where are you going to put Todd?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Me and I can go. I'll go in with Todd.
Okay. Oh, Todd is back.
Oh, here we go. Let's just we can do the chat here. Okay. I was gonna come join you, Todd, but it's all right. You're here now. We can do this here. Yeah, we can just do this, the three of us, Tiz. That works.
For sure.
Perfect. How's it going, man?
Good. I've been super busy, so that's why I've been kind of like absent, unfortunately. But
oh no, don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Tell me, what are you thinking? What's going on in that mind of yours?
This is a fun one because I've never heard of it until you mentioned it, and I can kind of
Interesting.
guess what it is based on the name, but yeah, it'll be fun. So my list was human versus nature, chaos, trees versus rhizomes, was truly wild versus manufacturing. Why wilding? Is it for the benefit of the wilderness or for humans? Return to nature, moving nature into the city. Roots, generative, unexpected, passing control, unquantized nature, randomness, letting go, anti-architecture, growing, establishing, rooting, uprooting, return to an ideal time, tenants, diversity, the right type of diversity, invasive species, harmony, disharmony, vines, ruins, green, ownership of space, future building, erasing human presence, post-apocalyptic, recapturing, nostalgia, loss, bringing back to the origin, nature and civilization.
Whoa, that's epic.
Yeah,
That is
very
epic.
good.
I think you've captured. I mean, no, not that I'm any rewilding expert, but I think you captured it pretty well there.
Captured something. That's
Yeah, I love the stuff that came up there about like loss and origin and like ownership of space. Like that's such an important part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And anti-architecture, I wrote that down. That's I've never heard that phrase before.
I don't know if it's a phrase. I was just like imagining like buildings with like vines crawling over them and like that obviously like creates cracks and takes apart the foundation a little bit. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I think of wilding as like against like some sort of structured city or something. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I'll do some of mine. Freedom, abundance, peacefulness, food growing, mycelial networks, imagination, the future, returning, the Nep estate, which is like a big rewilded place in the UK, Flock Together, which is an amazing inner city bird watching community in London, like using like going back to like basic navigation tools, like using what if you like used a compass, you know, instead of using your phone. Oh, we got Hannah here. Slowing down, tuning in, natural rhythms, digital detoxes, the sound of like the sound of being underwater really came up. This the idea of like rewilding kids' childhoods, like what would childhood look like these days if they didn't have technology. There's a great magazine called Where the Leaves Fall. Maybe think of being a kid, bird song, and the Eden Project here in the UK. Natural dyes, heartbeats, rewilding corridors. That's like a kind of creating connecting big nature spaces with smaller connected nature spaces. So it's like there's always a place to kind of be in nature is a really nice concept. Yeah, that's me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I liked mycelial networks. That's exciting.
Yeah, I've got a great book just here actually, which is pretty serious. Entangled Life. How fungi make our worlds, change our minds, and shape our futures.
Oh, that looks cool.
And by literally, you couldn't make it up. The guy's name is Merlin Sheldrake.
Oh my God.
He's definitely living an entangled life. Yeah, very cool book. Hannah, we were just doing our word association readbacks.
I know. I realized I was probably going to miss the association. Sorry, I had to pop.
It's all good. You can, you know how it's done. You can do it. Tiz, did you want to read yours?
Sure. I got a lot of different things, I guess. I was also thinking about these biodomes, like the Eden Project, and all of the ones that they exist around the world, which I feel are very interesting places. When I used to live in Canada, I guess you shouldn't know this, but I used to live in for 1 year in Ottawa, which is one of the coldest cities in the world. And I had a bunch of Mexican friends, and once we went to Montreal, and there was a biodome there, and we went inside, and it felt like we were back home for a minute, because when we were in the jungle bit, specifically, we didn't want to leave until they kick us out, and it was just a very unique experience. And I think I never have been in a biodome before that, but yeah, after that it has been one of my wonderful places to visit every time I go, and there's one around. I haven't been to the Eden Project here in the UK, but it is definitely on my bucket list. I think now is a good time to go, because what's the point of going in the summer, right?
That's a good point.
I was also thinking, sorry?
It's amazing. And you should, yeah, all of us should check. There's a guy called Sir Tim Smith, who's the guy that founded the Eden Project. And he is, yeah, very, very, an incredible storyteller.
Yeah,
Sorry.
definitely. And on that note, I was also thinking about the Kew Gardens here in London that have a lot of, I'm interested in these kind of micro environments that people create to kind of simulate how it's supposed to be, or what it should be, or just creating gardens using life forms like plants, of course. So I'm really interested on that particularly. Also, I added a bit about how plants communicate with each other, particularly trees, that they communicate with each other through the fungi underneath, through the roots. And yeah, I find that also very interesting. I think they also transmit some nutrients to other plants when they are in need. Let's say that they don't get like enough sun. So I think that's a very interesting property, and something that perhaps is not studied enough. And going to the same theme, the fungus and their ability to create or be born out of what we would call trash, or what we would call decomposed things, no? So the ability of something to grow, a life form growing out of death in a way, I think I find that also very interesting. But yeah, I got lots of thoughts. I also thought about many games that I played that are related to that. I like one game that is called Untitled Goose Game, that it's about a goose that is kind of messing with everybody in a English village, and you have different tasks. So you are the goose, and one task is like untie the shoelaces of this kid, no? And then you untie them, and you get like the achievement, but then the kid falls down and starts crying, but it's supposed to be like funny, and it's supposed to be yeah, kind of like a funny game that you play. It's not nothing serious. So yeah, I recommend that if you like to play a game one weekend or whatnot. I also thought about a game that is called Flow, that it's about kind of evolving. So you start being like a microorganism of some sort, like almost like a cell, and then you start evolving through time, and then you become like creatures, and you move to land, and it's kind of a whole yeah, game about evolving and being a creature. That, yeah, it's a very interesting game as well.
Nice. 3 very different approaches to rewilding.
Yeah.
Always brings up. Hannah, what comes to mind?
Well, what was funny is when we first got the theme, I feel like normally I try not to think too much about it because I don't want to like be swayed, but I didn't even know the term rewilding. So I literally didn't know anything. So I've been like actively not thinking about it until today. So I could like see where it took me. But the one thing when I was thinking of memories, I feel like, well, Iceland popped up, but then I thought randomly about like my cross country in high school and like our first, like in the summer, we'd like go and like trim back like weeds and stuff so that the paths were clear. And like our coach would be on a bike leading the way and like spray painting arrows and spray paint. And I also thought about when I did like a family trip to South Dakota, we were in the Badlands, like this big national park, and my uncle collects marbles, and then we just found a marble in the middle of like this field, like literally buffaloes were there and like nothing else around, and there was like this marble. But then I was thinking, why am I thinking of man-made stuff in nature when like everyone else's memories were like so pure and like the sunset bursting and like you're like seeing a whale shark, but like everyone's stories were so of nature. And I was like, why are my two memories man-made? So that was like my biggest theme to sit with.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna ask how many people actually know the term rewilding. Great, welcome back, everybody. So hopefully over the course of that conversation, you got to A, meet some interesting new people, but B, you got to see what the term rewilding brings up through somebody else's experiences and ideas on it. I'm curious, who here before this quest knew the term rewilding? No, there's no shame in this. Hands up if you knew the term rewilding before we announced this as the theme. Okay, cool, interesting. Okay, great. Well, that's awesome. I like it when people have a lot to work with. That means that there's going to be tons and tons of tons of scope for learning new things. There are all sorts of ways to look at rewilding. As I said before, it is a actual practice of restoring natural landscapes to their sort of natural way, but there's so many different ways that we can explore it over the course of this month, which we're going to do. Was there any, I'd be interested if there was any main reflections that anybody had. We've got just a couple of minutes because we're running slightly behind, but got time for one or two things if anybody wanted to share. No, not feeling it.
Well, I am Betsy.
Go on.
My teammates brought up some really interesting things. I thought and I'll just mention two of them. One is, if I can call you out, Nora.
Yeah, that's me.
The indigenous communities and rituals that are all around based on nature. And it made me think of how disconnected humans have become. And another that Daniela brought up was instinct. And so I thought, wow, that's a very interesting concept to think about in terms of rewilding and our connection to nature.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, instinct is a great one. And yeah, in fact, actually just today I was watching an amazing TED talk from an indigenous tribe member who lived in the Amazon, and he had moved to London. It was a TED talk because he was worried about his tribe kind of getting so many of them resistant to kind of engaging with the Western world through fear, understandably, and he kind of wanted to bridge the gap so that his, you know, his tribe story was being told. And it's an absolutely incredible TED talk. I can only imagine what it was like moving from the Amazon rainforest to Hackney in East London. Mad. Wild indeed, very wild. Okay, so we have a tool in the Notion. So Tiz, if you just want to drop the Notion link into the Slack, called the communal journal. And the communal journal is going to be where we are documenting loads of our learnings over the course of this month. So if you just click on this, it should take you straight there. You might have to log in. And oh, interesting. Do you know what? We might need to just do a bit of okay, let me think how we're going to do this. Okay, so what we'd like you to do for the next 5 minutes or so is jump into this communal journal and start adding in some things into these headings that we've put in here. If there's not a heading that's fitting what you're already thinking, then literally feel free to just put it up the top here. I'll put a thing, just random. Turn this into a heading. Yeah, if it doesn't fit within any of the stuff we put there, just put it in the random section at the top and we can organize it later. But this communal journal is basically going to be this incredible hive mind that grows and grows and grows over the month of interesting things that you are coming across in the world of rewilding. So it could be that you've read an amazing quote in a book and you think, oh, I want to add that to the journal so everybody else can learn from it. Or there might be music that comes to mind when you think of rewilding. There might be artists that use natural tools to make their art. There could be music, videos, books, magazines, articles, tools, anything. Me and Tiz will develop this over the month. So if there's not a section here that's really that's fitting with what you're thinking right now, don't worry, just put it in the random section at the top and we will sort it afterwards. But just spend a few minutes just in here, just getting some stuff down on paper, and we'll organize it afterwards. Make sense? Everybody in there? Great. It's a bit hectic when everybody's in there, but don't worry, it's the only time that we really kind of jump in there, all there at the same time. Just yeah, add some stuff, especially into this ideas section. There's an ideas section, ideas for the month. This is all things that we could each be doing. So yeah, definitely put some stuff in the ideas, because this is just going to generate loads of things for all of us to do over the course of this month. So this gone. That's great. Wish we had a bit more time on that, but unfortunately we do not. But spend some time after this session adding some more stuff in there. Obviously, we're right at the beginning of this. Some of us didn't even know the term rewilding until the theme got revealed. So, you know, over the course of this month, you're going to learn an astonishing amount about different ideas of what rewilding is. When you come across something interesting, add it into the journal. If we're all doing that, none of us will ever be bored ever again. Ever. There will be a constant list of things to be inspired by, forever. And you will have access to this this journal for eternity. We're not going to snatch the privileges away once the quest is over. This will be a resource that you made, that we all made together. Already, this ideas for the month list is like solid. That's a month in itself, and we only used it for 5 minutes. So I'm excited about this and to already dig into some of this stuff. So if there's any ever in between moments, you wake up on a Saturday morning and you think, hey, I've got a free morning, or what should I do on Wednesday night? Look at the communal journal. You know, this quest is not necessarily, it is about making time for being creative and exploring new things, but it's also about, to use the term, it's also about rewilding your existing, your existing life. Why don't you rewild your Netflix consumption for a month? Why don't you rewild your music taste for a month? Or the art exhibitions you go to, like, see this as an opportunity to, not that this quest might take up a little bit more time in your spare time, but what can you change that you're already doing that just invites the theme into your life more intimately? These quests are an invitation for you to live differently, to create differently for a month, as an experiment to see what happens. Not worry about the outcome, just keep going down the path of rewilding as far as you can over this month. And I promise you that you will see things differently by the end of this month. So I've got some tools that I need to show you, and then I'm going to set you some challenges. Then I'm going to let you go. We'll probably finish at about 25 to, just so you know. So I need you to get out your notebooks, and I need you to write 3 lists on 3 different pages, okay? The first one is, and these are your quest lists. These are called quest lists, and these are how you're going to document your progress over the month. And it's important that you keep these so that we can see how far we've come over the end of this month. So the first list I need you to keep is a new questions list. So just have 1 page in your notebook, write, new questions, rewilding at the top of the page. Quests create questions. Exploring the world in new ways will provoke new thoughts and ideas that you may not have had before. And, this will undoubtedly provoke some new questions. They could be big existential questions. They could be really simple questions. Why does this happen like it does? Questions are a great gateway to deeper conversations, to bigger ideas, to just navigating life with a bit more depth and richness. So keep a track of your questions. For those of you that are joining the 2 months quest and are thinking of maybe joining the Quest Lab next month, where we'll be working on projects inspired by this, having good questions that you've taken from this month is really important for generating cool ideas. Next up, the very lowly but mighty list of firsts. We like to celebrate being a beginner at Channel 12. Trying new things, learning new stuff as you get older is harder. It is an act of resistance because it feels uncomfortable. We don't like to be vulnerable in that situation. We don't like to not know things. We don't like the idea that we might not be good at something. So I want you to keep a note of the things that you've done over this month for the first time because of your quest. Remember, beginners are lucky. Beginners, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be when you try something for the first time. So whether it's as small as I took a walk every lunchtime in my local park, this month, or it's as grand as I planted 10 trees this month, you know, whatever it is, keep a note of it, because we like to celebrate progress. And finally, this is not quite as oh, one back. Where are we? Illuminations. Okay, so this is a bit less tangible than the other two, but it's perhaps the most magical. So an illumination is what I describe as a moment during a quest or any kind of experience that lights you up in a certain way. It's a moment that shifts your perception, your perspective, your feelings on something. You may not even quite know why. It could be something that someone has said about rewilding in an interview, or a book you've read, or even in one of these sessions, and just think, oh wow, you might have even had some moments today when people were sharing their nature memories, or when you were in your breakout rooms that made you go, oh wow, I hadn't thought of it like that, but that's kind of like giving me a little boost for something. Those is so important to keep note of, those little sparky illuminating moments, because it tells us what inspires us. And the longer you keep these illuminations lists, the more that you build up this really kind of amazing, beautiful picture of the things that inspire you. And there might be some really, really surprising stuff in there. Again, for those that are looking at doing the Quest Lab next month, you know, you don't have to make that decision for another 4 weeks, but illuminations are the key to ideas. They are the fragments that, you know, that we bring together to make really, really great creative ideas. So keep a note of these illuminations. And also, do you know what, in the future, if you're ever having a sort of a down day, having a list of things to go back to that really just inspire you and like remind you how big the world is and how infinite possibilities are, it's a really good tool to have in your pocket. So yeah, please keep those lists over the month. We're going to check in with them over the weeks. So yeah, new questions, list of firsts, and illuminations. Okay, I've got one more thing for you, and that is challenges for this week. This is all going to go out in the session recordings, by the way, in the session notes. So you'll have all of this in great detail. You don't need to remember all of it right now, but perhaps write down some immediate thoughts that come to mind. These are more prompts, I guess. This is not homework. Please don't think that you're going to get marks on this stuff, but they will be the tools and the kind of the sparks for conversations that we have in future weeks. So part one of this week is to create magnetism. Tell people you are taking on this challenge of going on a creative quest. Invite their input. Speak to your friends about your family, about rewilding. Tell them you're going on a creative journey. Post it on your social media if that's the kind of thing that you do, or your blog, or whatever it is. If you put stuff on the internet, tell people you're doing this. People really react well to you know, people being brave and being an adult and saying, hey, I'm curious about this thing. I want to know more. Does anybody else know anything about this subject? On Instagram stories, you can do that thing where you do ask a question. Ask people, ask the internet, what do you know about rewilding? Send me projects, communities, people. And that leads nicely onto deep diving online. Put an hour timer on and just learn as much as you can about rewilding as possible. You know what it's like to go on an internet rabbit hole, whether it's on YouTube and you think, how on earth did I end up here? Or if it's on Instagram, or just, you know, stumbling across stuff on deep on a Google search. There's tons. The internet is filled with really, really interesting stuff. You know, obviously you can spend more than an hour, but an hour is a good amount of time. It's a good challenge because parameters are good for creativity. If you find some good stuff, add it to the journal so all of us can all benefit from each other's learnings. And then the last one in this kind of digital section is changing your digital landscape. Make the algorithm work for you. Your algorithm right now is probably full of whatever it is that you're consuming, whether it's food videos or it's cute baby videos, or if it's like art, you know, videos, whatever it is. Break the algorithm, you know, make your algorithm work for you. Go and follow 10, 15, 20 new accounts and find new voices, you know, break your echo chamber a little bit, and start a phone note on your phone with Rewilding right at the top. There's a great way of cataloging stuff on Instagram, by the way, where you can save stuff. You're probably all familiar with the save button, but what a lot of people don't know is that you can save stuff in theme. So if you hold that button down, the save button down, you'll be able to save your stuff in categories. So you can just create a whole Rewilding category on your Instagram, and whenever something interesting comes up, you just save it into that folder, and then you've got a whole just like nice little this is collage themed, but it could be you know, Rewilding for this month. And then yeah, your challenge is more for kind of bringing this out into the real world offline, because this is about getting out into the world too and experiencing our physical surrounding in new ways. Take your theme for a walk. Very, very simple, but has amazing it's amazing what can come from literally simply going for a walk and looking at the world through a new lens. So just go for a walk. It could be in a familiar space or in a completely unfamiliar space, and just use Rewilding as your lens to see the world through on this walk. What do you notice that's different? Document it. You know, tell us, take some pictures, tell us what you see in the Slack. Acquiring materials. What things could you acquire that could help you live a wilder existence this month? You know, like what would make it easier for you to go and be wild? I don't know the answer to this question necessarily. But yeah, this could even just be like learning materials. This could be about books. It could be maps. It could be compasses. It could be, I don't know, waterproof trousers. It could be absolutely anything. Yeah, what is going to help you lead a wilder existence this month? Have a think about that. And if there's something that can act as a gateway, and you know, it's reasonably inexpensive, you know, why not treat yourself? And finally, but certainly not last but not least, that's what I was trying to say, make time for nature connection. Walk where there is no path. You know, there is tons and tons of man-made paths everywhere. This is about taking the beaten track. This is not about following the path. This is about making new paths, and embrace the weather. I don't think we can be fair weather creatures if we're truly going to rewild ourselves. If we're going to rewild ourselves, we're going to have to embrace all of the elements and the things they throw at us. Go barefoot, embrace the feeling of earth underneath your foot, and consider what it means to be a part of nature rather than separate to it. And yeah, finally, just be wild. Explore what being wild means, just to see what happens. Yeah, as I say, these are much more prompts than homework, but yeah, hopefully you all find that helpful. And I will send all of this around to you in a in an email tomorrow morning, and it will go up in the Notion as a as a section in there. And that's kind of it. This first week is so much about just casting the net as wide as possible. Just follow as many different paths with Rewilding as possible. Invite the theme into your life. Change your digital habits. Keep chatting to everybody on the Slack. Make time for nature connection, and it will create the magnetism. It will come back to you. This stuff, you know, you'll very likely have moments over this month where you're like, oh, wow, I'd never seen this before. Like, it's amazing that it suddenly just appeared during my month of exploring Rewilding. This stuff is always there. You're just not seeing it right now because it's not how your eyes are tuned to look. Retune your eyes and you will, you will see plenty more. I was going to read you a little excerpt from this book, but we really don't have time. But I can do for anybody that wants to stay, but if you need to leave, all good. It's one page. It's an amazing book. Please consider buying it. It's called Rewild Yourself. It's one of the few bits of research that I've done ahead of this. Worth mentioning, by the way, me and Tiz, we're in the same boat as you. We are not rewilding experts. This is not a teacher-student dynamic. We are holding the space for all of us to collectively explore this theme together. So yeah. Shall I read this page? Yeah? All right, okay. Story time. This is honestly such a beautifully written book. Oh God, now I can't even find the right page. Okay. We're not just losing the wild world, we are forgetting it. We're no longer noticing it. We've lost the habit of looking and seeing and listening and hearing. We're beginning to think it's not really our business. We're beginning to act as if it's not there anymore. In the course of the Chronicles of Narnia, Lucy has to enter the house of the magician and read a spell for making hidden things visible. She knows at once that she's got it right because colors and the pictures start to appear on the pages of the magic book in gold and blue and scarlet. And then, wonder of wonders, Aslan himself, the great lion and high king above all high kings, is also made visible. We too can say a spell for making hidden things visible. Mammals you never knew existed will enter your worlds. Birds hidden in treetops will shed their cloak of anonymity. With a single movement of your hand, you can make reptiles appear before you. Butterflies you never saw before will bring joy to every sunny day. Creatures of the darkness will enter the light of your consciousness. As you take on new techniques and a little new equipment, you'll discover new creatures and with them areas of yourself that have been dormant. Once you put to use these magic spells, which he talks about in this book, they will wake up and start working again. You'll become wilder in your mind and in your heart. That's the real magic. You wake up a part of you that has slept. It was there all along. It only needed the smallest shake, the gentlest nudge to become a part of your waking self. There is wildness in us all, but in most of us, it's latent, sleeping and unused. Wild we are in our deepest selves. We are hunter-gatherers in suits and dresses and jeans and t-shirts. We have been civilized, tame, for less than 1% of our existence as a species. Very cool. Yeah, get this book. It's amazing. Thank you very much, everybody. That's it for session 1. Jump into the Slack. Would love to see if anyone wants to share their lists. Take a picture of your list, drop it in the Slack, and we can all see where your brain is at. And we'll see you. Oh, one note. We have a guest quester joining us that is usually in week 2, but it's going to be in week 3 because they can't make week 2. I'm going to send you a note about it, but the session times will be a little bit different because both sessions will be together. It'll be from 5:30 till 7:30 UK. So starting half an hour later than we started today and going an hour later than we are now. It'll all be recorded if you can't make it, all good. But yeah, that's it. It's daylight savings in the States next week and not in the UK. So things will be an hour forward. I'll put it all in the wrap up email, but yeah, just there's 2 weeks where we're out of sync with each other. Great. Thanks for sticking around for the extra 10 minutes. I appreciate this. Big love, everybody. Good luck questing this week. Keep adding into the Slack. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's do this. See you later, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.